So really the rules were around what we would term economic substance. So you need, if you have a company, there must be local employees. It can't just be a shell company. You as an individual, you need to have your primary residence in Puerto Rico. But you mentioned that you had to buy a property. Can you rent? So you're not allowed to rent a primary residence. You have to purchase one.
That's a requirement within the first 2 years. As an individual that you relocate, and this rule is applicable only to the individuals investors, right? That they need to buy their house. But basically, and this is not automatic, right? If you move and you have the benefits, you need to go through a process with the government, submit some kind of tax incentive applications. The government evaluates and then issue the tax decree. The important part here is that tax decrees may take some time, a few months, or let's say a year from the government to issue the tax decree, but they are retroactive to the date that you apply for it. So basically, if you move and you commence operation, and let's say that you apply in February and you take your grant by December, it will be retroactive to February. That is the date that you commence operation. So those are some kind of benefits. Right now, actually, after the implementation of Act 60, there were a boom of applications because the Act 60 entered into effect January 1st, 2020. So there were a lot of applications by the end of 2019 trying to be grandfathered under the previous law. So that basically makes some efforts from the government. It's taking more time to get an approval, but they are now taking reasonable efforts to make it happen as soon as possible.
Okay, understood. So in terms of the property purchase, will be for those that come in as investors. If someone just relocates as an employee, like a chief whatever officer or CEO or something like that.
Most of the export companies is the same owner, the same employee. They move to Puerto Rico, they relocate with their family, they keep the business in the US and they charge some management fees from Puerto Rico. Certainly, it's always recommended to do some kind of transfer pricing to see to change. Even that Puerto Rico doesn't have some kind of transfer rules implemented. The Puerto Rico government commonly follows US guidelines. And certainly, if the company do business in the US, the expenses to a foreign control corporation will be under the eyes of the IRS as well. And Puerto Rico follows US GAAP, so arm's length transactions persist.
Right, so that's in terms of transfer pricing, but going back to someone who's not an investor per se, but they're just like a senior employee, let's say, in a company, and do they need to purchase a home as well, or can they rent their primary residence in Puerto Rico?
Well, if he's not an investor and he wants to export services, he doesn't have a requirement to buy a house in Puerto Rico.
Okay, right. Okay, gotcha.
The requirement for purchasing a house is for those that apply for the Investors Act.
Investors Act. Okay, right. So basically, like business owners. Gotcha.
People that generate interest, dividends, capital gains. That is the exemption provided by that side of the law.
Okay, understood. Okay, so clearly it's very nuanced. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to move to Puerto Rico and I'll be living tax-free. They're very, very intricate laws to read and to understand and to comply with.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.